Welcome. We are back. Another week upon us in the market. Yeah, doing a Sunday stream this week because there's a lot I want to talk about. Just go over pretty quickly, get everybody ready for the week. I did drop a video on my channel yesterday and on X as well. And it was about a 20-minute long session I did, the weekly premium call. And I pretty much talked all about this week's watch list and overall thoughts on the market. I'm going to reiterate a little bit of that tonight, and then we're just going to look at some more stocks, see what else we can find out there. To get started, Bitcoin is currently sitting pretty close to session highs at 40.1k almost. You've got 3 white soldiers on the daily playing out as we speak. I said on the last stream, which was Thursday night, that it probably should break over 40k within a few days. And here we are on Sunday with Bitcoin above 40k. This all really started from the ascending triangle breakout, which I was talking about in the Discord. If we go over the crypto technicals channel, I was watching this since about 38k, and now we're sitting at 41k roughly. If we zoom out on the daily, you have, first of all, let's zoom back in for 1 second. You've confirmed hidden bullish divergence on the MACD. And if we zoom out, what's really key here is just simply being above 40k. We can see a couple of highs over here from the past, some lows as well. You're now back above it, and you have a small resistance at 43k, but your next major resistance is 45.7k. All right, you can see that next orange line on my chart. If we go over to the weekly time frame on Bitcoin, you can see just how beautifully this bullish cipher has been playing out. And on a weekly time frame, there's really not much up until like 60k in terms of resistance, believe it or not. So I'm just really astonished by how nice Bitcoin really looked. I mean, if we just look at the MACD over here, you had clear classic bullish divergence. You were flipping this high from the end of 2019 into a support, and you were at a major retrace and a falling wedge. Like, it was such a beautiful technical setup on the weekly. It took about 6 months for it to kind of consolidate in this area over here on 28k, and then as soon as we broke it, obviously there was the Bitcoin and the Ethereum swing, and both of those did pretty well. And here we are, just continuing higher and taking a look at Ethereum, which is currently a swing trade. It also had an ascending triangle. It broke out of it, and it's pretty close to the second target at 2291. So really good stuff for crypto. On Ethereum, you have a small resistance at pretty much 2300. That's why the second target is 2291. But your next major resistance on Ethereum is 2500. Okay. If we go over to a weekly time frame on Ethereum, you can also see that Ethereum pretty much had a bullish Gartley, and that's been playing out. And what I really like about Ethereum on the weekly time frame is this. Take a look at this zone that Ethereum is breaking above. I might even like Ethereum technically more than Bitcoin here, because Bitcoin's way ahead of Ethereum in this rally. But take a look at this zone pretty much in the 1800s up until about 2100. This zone I just drew. We have some major lows here from June of 2021, and then a bunch of resistance here from the past year, which we just broke above. And looking on a weekly chart, again, like if I were to draw out the 2 next levels of resistance on the weekly, it would be 2688 and then 3527. And to get to that second resistance level, that's another 58% upside potential for Ethereum on a weekly time frame. So a lot going on there. Of course, we have the Mara and Riot swings. Maybe the second target could be in store for Riot. That would be a 50% gain. And then potentially the third and final target for Mara, which would also be about a 50% gain. Mara is currently sitting right at the second target of the swing. So great stuff there. That's a quick coverage on crypto. Another thing I've been pounding the table on, I've been talking nonstop about for the past 2 weeks, is how good metals look, okay? The first thing I did was spot this SLV silver ETF and this channel breakout. Then I went and looked at gold, and gold had this nice wedge into the 200-day moving average. It rallied up to retest all-time highs at 2068, and gold, believe it or not, spiked up 4% in about like an hour, I believe. It's only up 1%, just gave back a lot of those gains. But the second, if we go over to the weekly time frame, the second it cracked above this 2068 resistance level, its all-time high resistance, it shot all the way up to like 2150. So really quick, nice move there. Now it's coming back down to potentially back test it. And if we go over to the 15-minute chart, You can see that. And you spiked up in this one candle, up 3%, went a little bit higher, and then went back down. Casual sneezes as I start streaming. Like I gotta do it again now. Okay, we should be good. So that is gold. Wow, I can't stop sneezing. All right, moving on. Let's talk about other markets. The dollar currency index went back up to retest the 200-day moving average. It's not been able to break above it for right now. The Hang Seng Index is retesting these lows pretty much at around 17K. This is probably an area where I would keep a close eye on some Chinese stocks. I know we were talking about NIO also testing $7, which is holding. Earnings are tomorrow for NIO. So take a look at this. We have two major lows here from the end of last year at around 16.9K on the Hang Seng Index. Now you're trying to do the same thing again pretty much exactly a year later. The last time you double bottomed at this level, you went about 30%. Now you're doing the same thing potentially in a falling wedge, and you might even be able to see a harmonic with this as well. It's not deep enough. If it was a little bit deeper, it would have been a bullish Carly, but that is pretty much the Hang Seng Index for right now. We were looking at XME last week, the metals and mining ETF. I mean, with the move we just saw in gold, this could go even higher, honestly. I literally started watching this on the stream for all of you pretty much right over here, like 53. We were talking about how critical a 54 level breakout would be. It broke in on Friday, went right up to 56. Honestly, 59 could be possible this week. Like literally straight from one level to the next level. That's a 10% gain on options. It would be, if they were like within like 2 weeks, it could have been like over 1,000% profit on options on this one. I'm not even joking. So really good move for the metals as we've been talking about. I've also been focusing on energy. Still set up in this ascending triangle. You've heard me pounding the table about metals and metals for the past 2 weeks. I'm still also pounding the table about energy. Ascending triangle, classic bullish divergence, 200-day moving average. Still something to keep a very close eye on. All right. Now to talk about some of the swings. Of course, I did put out the gold swing, which closed up on Friday about 3%. Hopefully gets a pretty decent day tomorrow. I did see your chat, Nate, saying the measure move on bear gold inverse head and shoulders. The measure move should be pretty much right around the second target, in between the first and second target of the swing. And I mean, even if we really zoom out here and go on to like a weekly time frame, take a look at this. On the weekly, this is the Bear Gold Corporation stock. You're testing the breakout of a wedge, and you have a potential 3 rising values taking place here. So, in my opinion, the variables are really set up on GOLD stock. We'll see what happens. We already talked about the Ride and Mara swings, the Zoom swing, up 8% on Friday at the close, broke above the 200-day moving average. There's really no resistance until the first target. The lift swing was up 12% on Friday, and the lift swing is now 26%. Just a week ago, this swing was completely flat, and then within 1 week went from being completely flat to being up 26%. Huge move. It even broke above the top of this channel, and there's not much resistance up until the gap fill, sitting at around $16. So that is lift. If we move over into the newer swings now, we have Carvana and ARK. Carvana has this longer term inverse head and shoulder setup. It just broke out of a wedge, got a bullish engulfing on Friday. This is one of the key names I'm watching this week. If it can just simply get above this little zone right over here, pretty much if it can crack above like 37, it's looking pretty neat. So watching Carvana closely this week, and then of course ARK ETF as well, with the much larger looking inverse head and shoulders. And I talked about it in the video. If you watch my last video I put out over the weekend, I mean, the growth stocks and small caps a lot of them are really setting up. And I mentioned a handful of names in that video, so go make sure you watch it. It's the last video on my channel. Continuing on, Fisker was up about 10% on Friday. Hopefully this can make a small move to regain the demand line of the channel and then potentially start moving back towards the supply line. Not really much to talk about technical wise apart from that. It's just it's the most oversold it's ever been on the weekly, and the lowest price it's ever been pretty much. So That's pretty much how some of my watch list is looking. Coinbase, I just saw a tweet that apparently it's up 7% overnight on Robinhood, and I wonder if that takes it almost up to that 150 resistance, which is the next level. DraftKings is getting close to the $40 resistance level. On a 1 hour time frame, DraftKings just broke out of a bull flag heading into the new week, so keep an eye on that. Look at some large caps now before we talk about the overall market. I know we've been focusing so much on small caps and mid caps, but let's talk about some large caps. There is the Tesla swing, which is pretty flat, and this is, from what I've seen, it's one of the only like top 10 market cap stocks that has not made a huge move near all-time highs. So it's got this major potential inverse head and shoulders setup longer term. It's got the wedge just over the 200-day moving average, especially with the ARK ETF moving. I mean, this could be on a breakout watch this week, so keep an eye on that. Continuing on with some large caps here, Nvidia. It's tough to tell. I'm going to clear up this chart a little bit, but overall it's just sitting in a range, and that's pretty much it. It's kind of just a range bound asset for right now. Apple, it did start to react a little bit at the pattern completion zone of this bearish cipher, but it might start to create a little bit of a bull flag here, or is creating a little bit of a bull flag here. So kind of mixed variables. I would say Apple's about a coin flip right now. And Amazon continuing to backtest the breakout at 145. Honestly, this is like reclaiming the range it was in before the bear market started in 2022. That's very, very big. If it really holds it, there's not much resistance until like 170. Continuing on, Microsoft might be due for a pullback just to backtest the breakout of this cup and handle. Looks like that's already kind of started. Google, hidden bearish divergence and the rising wedge is playing out. I've been bearish on this name for a couple of weeks. Now it's what you're starting to see play out. 129 is the next support level. But keep an eye on a lot of these names that even though they've pulled back, like Apple and Google in like the past week or so, the S&P and the Qs just broke out, which we're going to talk about that pretty much right now. So let's move over to the overall market. First of all, the SPY just had its highest close of the year, and its highest close since March of 2022. So in about a year and a half. And your next short-term level in the SPY is 462, and this is obviously assuming it can clear its literal high of the year, not the highest close of the year. The literal high of the year is 459.44. So you did pretty much top out very close to that on Friday. So that's the short-term key level to watch on the daily. We go to the 1 hour, it's pretty much just an ascending broadening wedge right now, and this can keep going for a while, you never know. So keep an eye on this. Remember, if we fail to get back up to the supply line before dropping to the demand line, at that point there would be over a 70% chance of breaking down, because that would be a partial rise. And if we take a look at the Qs, it's continued to backtest previous highs of the year from July as a support. And you pretty much got a bullish engulfing on Friday, very close to one. Two pretty good wicks off of 386 on Thursday and Friday. So it could be time for some large caps to maybe play some catch up. Again, we're still in the rough area of the potential. Like, this is the last like bearish variable I think that there still is for the market. Apart from that, everything is kind of flipped back to bullish. But the last bearish variable is still the potential, and the fact that we are at the pattern completion zone of this bearish arc on the weekly, and any sort of loss in momentum on the MACD will lead to classic bearish divergence. So we're very close to breaking out, but we have not technically invalidated the weekly bearish harmonics and the weekly bearish divergence. So that is just like that last thing we have to continue to watch for a couple of weeks, because we can keep rallying for a couple of weeks, especially on the IWM and the ARK, while the Qs, kind of go somewhat sideways or even like a little bit higher, but not too much. And then starting next year, we could start to see a sell-off and a much longer term double top. Like, I'm shorter term bullish right now in a lot of these small caps and mid caps, but there still is a level of risk to the Qs unless they're able to clear all-time highs and break out of that. All right. Speaking of small caps and mid caps, huge bullish engulfing over the 200-day moving average for Russell 2000 on Friday. This is probably going to test a breakout pretty shortly of this white supply line that you see. And I already looked at all the small cap names in the video I put out the weekend, so make sure you watch that. And we already talked about the ARK ETF. So these are a lot of the major formations heading into the week. I wanted to do a quick stream just to kind of talk about that. Make sure you hit the like button if you didn't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. I do see a couple names we can take a look at in chat. I think we looked at Uber and CGC on the weekend call, so you can go watch my last video, see my analysis on those. I'll take a look at Palantir, AAU, Upstart, and PayPal. So Palantir, first off, it's retesting the $20 breakout. And if it can do that, then your short-term resistance is going to be the recent high. You just put in around 22 bucks, and then after that, $24. Next up, AA. Just broke out of this wedge on the daily. And you do have a resistance zone, which is this. Pretty much between 29.50 and 32.40. So that's probably next level to watch. Your 200-day moving average around there as well. So like there is some, it just did break out, but there is some resistance in this area to keep an eye on. This is a premium swing that already hit the first target. Now it's testing the 200-day moving average. Top of the zone here is 43. Wow, Upstart had a great day on Friday. Let's clear this chart up a little bit. Honestly, the next two key levels of resistance, and this is assuming you can continue holding $30, is $41 and then 46, which is a gap fill. But the key level to keep holding on Upstart is 30 bucks because you just broke above the 200-day moving average literally on Friday, and you can see some resistance here from the past and even some lows. So 30 is the key level to remain above on Upstart. And then PayPal is also another name that got absolutely demolished after the COVID bull run. That has created a major wedge near, I don't know if it's all-time lows, but much lower than its all-time highs. Huge retraces on this. Cheddar Freeze always talks about the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 processes to the market, and this could be the beginning of a major reversal. A lot of names look like this, okay? I mean, if you go back to the dot-com bubble, this is what happened to a lot of those types of stocks, and then a select few of them came all the way back down here and then did this. I don't know if that's going to happen to PayPal, but it was literally only 2 years ago when PayPal was about 400% higher than it is right now. So there's a lot of names that have a lot of potential like this, and that's why I really want to focus on the fact that like we could finally be at a low point for a decent amount of stocks that have never recovered since the all-time highs after the COVID crash in 2021, the peak of speculation. I'm going to call that the speculation bubble, when we had NFTs and pot stocks and EVs and SPACs all going straight up. They all topped out pretty much in 2021, and they just dumped and dumped and dumped for all of 2022, and they just went sideways for all of this year, while the large caps went much higher this year. A lot of those types of stocks are now on the come up, so we will see what happens. We can take a look at Beyond and BABA as well. Typing in ABBA. Alright, so BABA, I just looked at the Hang Seng Index earlier in the stream, so keep that in mind. This is a very key level for BABA to hold, $73. It's this low from over here, and then also a gap fill from November of last year. So it tried to show a little bit of a reaction there on Friday. So that's the key level you want to see BABA hold. And then Beyond was up 4%. It's testing the breakout of 760. If that breaks, I'd say $10 could be next. There's really not much resistance between 760 and 10 bucks. So that's pretty much what you should be aware of heading into this week. I'm excited to see how it goes. I will be live trading tomorrow morning. So WAP.com, there you go, there's the hat. WAP.com/championvibe if you want to be in the live trading in the morning. And I will see you there. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your weekend, and good luck this week.